But, now we are coming to a place where it's your time to shine again. You've got all these artists that you've worked for, that you've helped create melody around. And now you're releasing Honey, I'm Home. 15 years in the making.
Can you believe it?
Talk to
Laura,
me about this.
how crazy is that? It's like I'm so grateful to still be here and have a fresh outlook on music. I'm working with a family. I like to call them family. I don't want to call it a record label because it's a group of executives that just truly are self-contained themselves, who actually understand music, who actually have written songs themselves, who have been instrumental in discovering some of the great artists like Jill Scott. And just it's a pleasure working with a group of people who actually can teach you about the music, because most places you go, the industry here in America is somewhat kind of full of nepotism, where it's more like most of the executives don't necessarily. It's a funny situation where people got their jobs through friendships and so on and so forth, but this particular company is all about real music, real artists, and even with the entire roster here, it's a great circumstance situation for me as a graduation, because at one point I guess I was caught in that kind of teen idol type of situation as well. But the executives here, such as Steve McKeever, Bruce Walker, they saw that it was something different than outside of the teen idol thing, because I'm a true musician and I truly love music. I never did any of this to be famous in the first place. It was just, it was a blessing that everything took off the way it did, and I sold millions of records, and I was able to discover and help, all these other artists, even to the point where I was vice president of A&R for Motown. Got an opportunity to do that. Then I got an opportunity to, of course, work with Mr. Jamie Foxx. I'm executive producer on his HBO special titled I Might Need Security.
My goodness.
So I've got an opportunity to work on, television, on the music, and now the new phase of this, of course, with the new album, Honey, I'm Home. I want to couple that with associating that venue now with television, coupling that with developing some television shows and more reality shows, but musically based reality shows, not necessarily. I'm not going to eat any cow nuts or anything else like that.
Thank God for that.
or eat any cow brain or whatever.
Where I come from in South Dakota, they're called Rocky Mountain oysters, and they don't taste
you know what?
too
I was
bad.
going to say, those are Rocky Mountain oysters, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. But that, for the most part, like I said, the whole project of Honey, I'm Home, and the way I came up with the title was, I was just thinking, I guess, it's almost like I've been away for such a long time, but I've always been right here in everyone's face without them knowing it. I've always been right, in the audience and just watching and observing, and also spending my time as a fan learning. You have to be a student of music to appreciate music as well. So I've been, watching and learning and kind of sitting and listening to other artists that I truly enjoy. And then throughout the years, of course, by doing radio and then working with, producing television and working with Jamie Foxx and different people, you have to learn something at some point. So this new album, Honey, I'm Home, basically is the lesson that I've learned over the years about all the different experiences that I've gone through. In a nutshell, it's a communication tool for relationships. No matter what relationships, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you get down, it's your business. The point is that this is now a tool to kind of interject conversation and spark up communication, because at the end of the day, that's the key to anything winning, is keeping communication going. If you're in a war, you know how you win a war? You just cut the phone lines at the airport. So nobody can communicate. So, but I wanted to do it in a fun way and just basically share my story over the years. So let's just say the new Honey, I'm Home album is the first album from many years ago, but for the grown and sexy.
Yes.
It's the 2009. It's for the grown-ups, and if you're grown and sexy, you have to have it. And especially for the guys. Let me tell you something right now. The most fun I've had on the road as of recent is every man that has approached me, and you'd be surprised, just traveling all over the place from airports to being everywhere, and then people, when they recognize me, they come up to me and they say, every man from the coat check guy to some executive at some major company always walks up to me and says, man, I just want to say thank you over the years, man. I'm listening to your records, man. I got so much bleep, off your album. So that's been the common denominator, and it's been such a fun ride with that. In addition to, when women walk up to me, they'll share things with me about how they were going through a divorce or a marriage or a death in their family, or even to the point where I give you a funny one. The woman, called up to the station. She wanted to thank me. She says, man, when are you coming with the new album? I said, because when you came with the old one, man, you were making us wear us batteries out. And I was like, what? So, it's almost like mental gymnastics for me, because especially while you're doing radio, people call you up all night and you hear everyone's issues, problems, situations, and they share everything with you. And now I've utilized hearing all of those stories and kind of put it into this common denominator, which we call Honey, I'm Home. So it's really all about us and all about experiences and relationships. I don't care who you are, if you're this beautiful woman or if you're this hardcore guy, we all have to lay down at some point.
Yeah. The interesting thing to me is we have hundreds of independent artists coming to our radio show trying to get a break, like the one that you had with Quincy Jones, back when you were 18 years old. And as I'm listening to the story of you coming back now 15 years later with an album, Honey, I'm Home, I'm wondering, did you feel nervous? Who helped you make this decision, or was it a revelation you had one morning when you woke up and said, you know what, enough is enough, I'm doing my own album this time? And who's been helping you with that?
You know what? You hit it right on the head. I mean, I think for the most part, I don't care how much success you've had in the past with selling records, and every artist that I've worked with, thank God, has been gold or platinum or what have you. And, that's always a blessing. But as an artist, I'm always nervous about releasing my own music because, over the years I've gotten, I've received offers from different situations, and NBA players who want to fund this label and want to do that and want to give you money to do it, and it's just, I thought it was a really special record. That's why my patience, I guess, is paid off now, because finding a label like Hidden Beach has really become, it's now made it all worthwhile, because now I can actually stop wearing all the different hats and I can be an artist when it comes to my music, because I depend on them to give me that guidance and direction. And they're, like I said, they're a group of executives that truly understand music, and it's not just, they don't treat it, it's all about artist development and everything else like that. Even as being a veteran artist, you don't have a situation where you're like the gum, where they throw the gum on the wall, which most record labels do. You throw it and see if it sticks and see if it works and keep it moving. That's only because record executives traditionally will just tell the artist, I need 2 records like Mary J. Blige, and I need 2 records like Mariah, and I need this, instead of just allowing you to do your creative, don't sign the artist who's not that creative. I mean, if you have to copy everyone else, the only person I'm guilty of copying, to be honest with you, is the Stevie Wonders of the world and the Smokey Robinsons of the world and some of the veteran artists, because that's what I grew up listening to. So that's my influence. But absolutely, I'm extremely nervous. And I guess the way it all started is the general manager of Hidden Beach, who was a friend of mine for many, many years, and we used to work together at Motown when he was running Mojazz and I was the VP of A&R for Motown. We established a great rapport with each other. Just I've always had respect for each other musically, and we had worked on a few projects together ourselves. And we ran into each other in Los Angeles, going to a birthday party for New York Nick Mark Jackson, his wife Desiree Coleman, who was a great singer herself. She did the Mama I Want to Sing back in the day, and she's a phenomenal vocalist. Anyway, we're all old friends and all grew up in the same area. We ran into each other at the party, and of course we walk in the door, and who's standing there? Magic Johnson standing there, and John Sally, and most of the NBA who are friends with Mark and Desiree. We just happened to have a conversation.
In a room like that with all those tall people, do you struggle to breathe, or are you just as tall as they are?
No, I'm only 6 feet tall, but I can handle the rock. Every once in a while I'll see Magic and I'll challenge him, but as you know, it's a little bit of a dream. But, at the end of the day, Bruce and I just started having the conversation, and he just came out and asked me, he said, what are you doing musically? He says, I hear about all the things you're doing, developing this and TV and this and working with Jamie and doing, what are you doing musically? And I said, I've been working on stuff, but if you want to hear it. And then we kind of wandered off at some point and wound up, getting in the car and listening to music. And he just turned to me and just kind of stopped the music and looked at me and said, dude, what are we doing? And I said, whatever you want to do. I said, I trust you. And then all of a sudden he brought the project to the president, which is Steve McKeever, but he's also the former president of Motown and that vintage label as well. So, I mean, like I said, it's a perfect marriage. Just being able to be an artist and being able to relax and take off some of the hats that may diffuse the focus of what you need to do with your music. And basically, I have a full trust in their vision, and we seem to be always on the same page and just ready to move forward. So I think it's fun.